Hello and welcome to the Talk Football podcast. We are live on YouTube and this is season 4, episode 7. I am joined by Alex, the West Ham fan. So you all should be able to see Alex. Welcome to the pod, Alex.
Oh yeah, thank you very much for having me on.
That's all right, mate. So this episode is going to, obviously, if you can see Alex, it's going to be about West Ham, and we're going to have a little look at their season so far, and get all of Alex's thoughts on how things are going. And to be fair, despite a bit of a kind of like a slowish pre-season, you've had a great start.
Yeah, no, we definitely have. I am a little bit surprised by it. I mean, knowing for West Ham over the years, you never really know how we're going to start. We're ever going to. We usually have a good season, bad season kind of thing. And at the beginning of the season, I kind of thought I just had this feeling it was going to be a good season, but it's even kind of outdone my optimism, really, to be honest with you. I never expected it to be as good as it has been. So no, it's been a brilliant start to that season. 10
points, from them first 5 games, and some impressive wins,
Yes, yeah, definitely.
I know, and obviously you battered us, but I mean, looking at the Brighton game, Brighton are a good team, and especially at the Amex as well. And to go there and do that to them, on home turf.
Yeah, I mean, we'd had 12 games in the Premier League against Brighton before that one, and we hadn't won any of them. They were a bogey team, so to speak. So even in my predictions before the season, I said, like, yeah, we'll do this.
I've got another bogey team for you and all. We're going to come on to that one and all. And then obviously, draw with Bournemouth and beating us 3-1.
Amazing game.
We won't talk about that.
You sure? It was one of my favourite subjects.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. I've had my say on Chelsea on other episodes, and I've got plenty more to say in there. That's going to be coming up. But the game that really struck with me was the City game, because I thought particularly like first half, you really gave them a game. I thought you were well in it.
Yeah, no, we've been deploying this certain way of playing in. I mean, you saw it against your side there, and with Brighton as well, where I think in the first half we do a lot of that sitting back, and a lot of our fans are very split over the possession football. But it's a type of play where I see is where we're trying to frustrate the opposition into either making mistakes or trying to get frustrated, and we try and nick a goal, and then in the second half they tend to open up a little bit more because they're trying to get a goal, and then we take advantage of it.
And you get him on that counter.
Obviously it works against you guys. It works against Brighton. And in the Man City game, we just did not start the second half on top brightly enough. They got a quick goal, and it kind of all fell apart.
City are just a machine. Once they get that, once they sniff that blood, they're they're frightening. But I mean, positive. I mean, obviously, again, I mean, on the road again. So if I remember, I read a stat. I think if you beat Liverpool tomorrow, already in this season, you would have achieved as many away wins as you did in the whole of last season.
I know. I mean, our Premier League form last season was absolutely shocking. Just absolutely shocking, especially our away form. And that was just so unexpected. I mean, it brings me back to earlier on when I kind of think you never know how the season's going to start. And I made a video on this. I think if you expect us to have a good start to a season, it's usually terrible. If you expect a terrible start, it's usually good. And last season was just terrible.
And it's like going right the way back, and it weren't the best of pre-seasons. And I was in a lot of stuff, a lot of chat on like social media about, Moyes has got to go. We can't go into another season playing this football. We could end up in a relegation battle. And I never thought you'd be anywhere near that kind of trouble. I didn't expect the start, obviously, you had, and as well as you're playing, particularly obviously losing your skipper and all. But there was a bit of doom and gloom. I still think with this thing, like Moyes is only like ever with the West Ham fans, it's only ever like 1 or 2 results away from like the banners coming out.
Yeah, because I mean there was a lot of people hating on Moyes after the Man City result, which I really didn't get. I mean, it's just Man City at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There was very. There was loads very much against him last season, and I did see it. I'm very much Moyes in, and I'm very much a believer in the guy for what he's done for West Ham over the last few seasons. There's no other manager in the last decade that just comes anywhere close to achieving what he's achieved.
This is the thing. Not many teams put trophies in cabinets,
No. I mean,
and even a European trophy.
And even at the point during last season when we were playing some terrible football at times, we really were. I think I dithered a couple of times where I kind of thought, is this the time to get rid of Moyes? But I just always had this feeling that he would get us out of it. And he ended up doing it and kind of ended up giving us one of the best seasons, arguably, that we've had in years, because it ended with a trophy. So it just turned out to be the right decision to keep him on. And he's hit the ground running this season as well. So, and the opinions are changing as well. But you've got a lot of stubborn West Ham United fans, I feel, that never wanted him in, and they're just looking for that opportunity just to say, I told you so.
Get on his back. And I think, it's been seen with other teams anyway. Be careful what you wish for, because
you
look at the trouble with Spurs. Obviously, they seem to have got it right with Ange, but they went down let's go and get an experienced trophy winner in type manager, and obviously that didn't work out for them. And so there's always that risk. And my club's brilliant.
How many managers did you have last season? I forget.
I lost count. We started off with Tuchel at the start of the season.
Yeah, it was Tuchel.
Sacked after what 3 or 4 games or whatever it was. I'm not even sure if he even made the first game. I can't even remember now. It was such a shit season.
He was still there for, I think, a West Ham game.
Yeah,
he went shortly after that. Yeah,
and then Potter, and then of course we had the caretaker come in,
Lampard,
but we had like one game under another care. I can't remember his name now. It's just gone out of my head. But we had one game, Bruno Salta.
Yes,
one game under him, and then of course, then Frank came. I was actually, I know you guys, you have your history with Frank. Particularly his weight problems.
I'll check its history when it comes to Frank Lampard, I guess. That was. But I was very young at that time, so.
Going back to Moisey, he ain't getting any younger, so there will come a time. Obviously, he's going to have to move on. And arguably, all joking aside, someone like a Potter, take the Chelsea, experience out of that. Probably would have been a reasonably decent fit, in my opinion, in terms of style of play and.
Yeah, so I keep on being asked this question, like, who would you have instead of if Moyes went? And it's a very difficult question, because you just don't. With West Ham, we've been through a wider range of managers over the years, and some have started off really well and just ended up in the same position where we're fighting relegation.
Yeah,
and this is the first time where we've got Moyes where we've kind of stuck with that manager and carried it on. And his contract ends at the end of this year. And so far, I don't think he's been offered a new one. So he may end up leaving next season, and we may get in a new manager. Who that will be is anyone's question at this moment in time.
The way it's looking at the moment, Pochettino could be available. Who knows?
They need to give him time. Like I really don't know what's going on at Chelsea, though. Really kind
of. Like I said, slow start with your pre-season, slow start with your transfers.
Yes, very much so. Yeah,
and I know a lot of fans were getting a bit worried, because obviously we all kind of knew that Declan was going to go.
Yeah.
I never thought City was on the table for him, to be honest. I think it was always Arsenal. I don't understand what was going on with that. Maybe it was just to kind of move the wheels forward or something. I don't know. Weird. I think, and we've seen it already, because he's fitted in perfectly at Arsenal anyway.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
And we've kind of seen it with Spurs, obviously losing Harry as well this season. You lose a player like that, like your club captain, stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the world. Because
no,
the problem you had, and which is any team that sells a player high profile, high money, is that whoever you're going to buy, are going to start banging on an extra 10, 20 million. But we'll look at the transfers. And I suppose like a kind of almost the direct replacement would be Alvarez.
Yeah.
Is that sort of like a defensive? I know Rice is more than just a defensive midfielder, but you've kind of brought in players that build into three players that all max sort of build into a Rice, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so Rice obviously when he left, it is a big loss for any team or player of that caliber and that skill. But what's become very evident to me this season is that we had been preparing for his kind of departure for the last couple of seasons, because where he played best for us was in that defensive midfielder role.
Yeah.
And he wanted to progress his game and, be a more forward player. And we started accommodating that for him. And I think that was the detriment to us. So he hasn't actually been playing in that kind of defensive midfielder role for the last season or so, which I did actually think played a part in our bad performances last year a little bit. And then when he's left, we've brought in a DM straight away in Alvarez, but we've also strengthened the rest of the midfield as well. And
signings.
And the midfield just looks a lot more balanced now than it ever did last season.
It functions. It's not everything's not all directed through that one pivot.
Yeah.
I think Kudus is going to end up being a phenomenal signing. And for me, I commented it on a few of your in your live and a couple of the videos and stuff like that as well. I do think he'd be best behind a striker in like a 10.
Yes.
Maybe a more progressive 10, and that can actually make those runs in behind Antonio, and give options in the channels and making intelligent runs. It looks like a really intelligent player.
No, he does, and I think he's an option that you can use anywhere along that front line on the left, right, and centre. And we saw the first of him, obviously, in the game on Thursday night, and where we saw him best, the best time I actually saw him playing, like the best performance he was putting in, is when he was in the middle, because he was taking on players,
just drives.
And he just drives, and he drew a foul, which, we need someone in that middle, because we like to play our game down the wings quite a lot. Yeah. And that's our only avenue of attack. So having someone who can do that in the middle gives us another avenue to explore going forward.
And it just takes so much. When you've got a player like that can pick up a ball and travel 30, 40 yards of it, it takes so much pressure off the defense. It takes pressure off of the DM, that everyone can then, once he's got that and he's doing that and the other four players are buzzing around, your back line gets reorganized. And then if there is a transition, a turnover in possession, everyone's set, everyone's in a position, you can go again, hit the press, win the ball back. And a player like that's like invaluable.
Yeah. And then, I think also he will draw fouls around that area for someone like James Ward-Prowse.
And I know, obviously there was this whole sort of like, backroom battle between the technical advisor, sporting director, whatever. I didn't really want to go for a player of that kind of age, wanting to get in younger. Moisey's like, but this is a guy I need.
Yeah.
This is what he can do for us. And we're already, he's in my fantasy team winning straight away.
Yeah.
I don't understand, and not to the detriment, of West Ham, but I don't understand, established, say, top four clubs not making that move. And the same with Kudus. I know there was a lot of talk about Liverpool, Chelsea, a few others, Arsenal, all that, like sniffing around Kudus and that as well. But I don't Ward-Prowse. I don't. It's like a real weird. You've seen it with England, a real weird sort of snobbery towards him.
Yeah, I think he's. I think he kind of flies under the radar a little bit, James Ward-Prowse. Because I think Southampton. And the Southampton, I think ex-chairman come out and said like he was shocked that no other team was in for him. West Ham were the only team in for him, and the way that Moyes plays, we heavily rely on set pieces. Yeah. So straight away, when I know we were liquid, got to get him in, because he will get goal contributions, he'll get goals, and you've seen it already. We've had 4 goals from corners.
I mean,
in 6 games.
The corners are ridiculous.
I
Honestly,
know.
it's like it's on a sixpence. So the thing with even taking his set plays out of the equation, he's a 7 out of 10 every game.
Yeah, he works his socks off, and he can put the ball. He's got great vision as well. You've seen some great balls he plays, and he also works hard. He runs just non-stop through the game. So he's just such a hard worker, and that's just goal, something.
The header he scored the other week last week.
Yeah,
I mean that people were like, he can't move, he ain't got the pace, he can't play box to box. And all of a sudden he's popping up after a 60-yard run with a diving header.
Oh, I don't. I had to take 2 looks when I saw him running away. I said, "No, that wasn't ball press, was it?" Yeah, but no, it was a brilliant header.
And looking at, I mean, you're going to need to go again for a centre forward, and the problem is there's not many out there. Not many out there. They're going to get into that sort of like 15 to 20 goal kind of bracket.
Yeah.
And Antonio's not getting any younger. I believe he's out of contract end of this season.
No,
as well. Or is he not? Has he got another year?
He's signed a new one.
He has signed the contract now?
Yeah, he signed a new one this week to keep him to West Ham till 2025.
2025. I know I'd read it, but I didn't know it had been.
Yeah, done. He's signed that. So I think that's just to kind of cover ourselves a little bit.
Yeah,
they didn't want to lose him on a free. He still might go at the end of the summer. It just ensures that we get a fee for him.
Just get a fee, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's been brilliant for us. And our problem with strikers, and I think it's just very famous now that West Ham have got a terrible record when it comes to strikers. Something like 55 strikers over like the last 10 years. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I thought Scamacca would do a job. I really
did. Yeah. I think Scamacca, he was playing with an injury for a lot of last season as well. And so, he didn't have a lot of opportunity to play. And he kind of didn't quite suit the system that we were trying to play.
Yeah. But ironically, having the midfielders you've got in now, I think if you'd have been in the team now with the set piece deliveries, the support from Kudus.
Yeah, well, I mean, the funny thing is, I think he's injured now. He's out for a month for Atlanta, so it might have been something that was, we weren't too fussed about because he was injured quite a lot last season, and so
not a name to throw at you. I don't know. It might have been someone that have maybe caught your eye on the radar, but Vlahovic. And I know we looked at him as like in terms of like a possible swap deal with Lukaku and all that, and that didn't come about. Mainly because obviously he was back doubling with his deal with Juve. That fell apart, obviously. But he's an interesting one for me because he is quite, for a big fella, he's fairly mobile, cracking left foot, and he is still only young. He's like 23, 24. And I think at the end of the season, Juve, no European football, probably going to get banned again. He's likely to be able to go for like 35, 40 million. And I think that's for a European kind of quality striker. I think that could be I think he would kind of suit with you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I admit I've never really seen too much of him. I've heard his name. He's not someone that I've heard that we were ever linked with.
No.
We were linked with everyone under the sun and their mum over the summer. Every day we were linked with someone new, and that was never a name that I heard pop up. So yeah, I don't really know a huge amount about him. I have heard of him, obviously, but that's about it. But yeah, I think
could be one of those clever signings, a bit like with Ward-Prowse and Kudus, where he slipped under the radar and like, hang on a minute, he's where? He signed for West Ham.
we tend to do. I think we've done that with Paquetá last season. I think no one slipped under the radar. Kudus this season, and I don't know how we're getting some of these signings over the line, but they're turning out to be really promising ones.
Funny you should mention Paquetá because obviously it looked like towards the end of the transfer window that it could happen with City, and then this whole betting thing is obviously creeping around in the background. I've not really looked at that too much. I don't really know what that's about. Is it him directly that's being investigated for betting?
So as far as I understand, it's his family members in Brazil were placing bets on him to get yellow cards in matches, and one particular match he got a yellow card. And that is all I know. And I think it was actually our sponsor Betway that kind of reported it. But as far as I know, that is what it is. So it could be a possible match fixing thing. I think the only reason it came to light was because of the Man City link.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things that's going to be very hard to prove that he had any prior knowledge of. So I don't know how it's going to work out, but we know the FA takes their time on these things. So I don't expect it to get sorted anytime soon.
I've got a few Brazilian friends, and they've got cousins, hundreds of them. So he probably doesn't even know which cousin it was then.
No, I mean this is the argument, isn't it? It's like, first they've got to find out if he knew. Two, did he tell them to do it? It's like, I don't know how they're ever going to prove any of that. So I think it's going to be.
I mean, clearly he's a quality player, and not a player that obviously you'd want to lose anytime soon anyway. I mean, everyone's got their price.
Well, I think he's got a release clause in his contract for 85 million that activates next summer. Yeah. So we kind of all prepare him for the fact that he may leave. It does. I think this betting thing could hang over his head for a little bit longer, and he may not. We'll have to wait and see.
And of course, that could kind of work in your favour, because obviously teams are going to be I'm not going to go and spend that amount of money on a player when he might not be available for 18 months.
That's right. If they want to keep on investigating this for the next 3 years, go for it.
Brilliant. Yeah. So I mean, generally transfers, obviously, like we said, slow start, but overall, according to transfermarket.com, yeah, your spend obviously on transfers was in the 137 million, something like that. But you bought in 156.
Yeah.
So you've got to say that's a great window.
Yeah, no, it is a great window. I think we'd spent quite a lot over the last few years. And so I think the whole financial fair play was kind of hanging over us a little bit, which I think it was contributing to our late start in the window.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've made some brilliant business. I think what you mentioned earlier about being like priced higher, players being priced a lot higher because of the Declan Rice sale, did kind of hamper us a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, we look at the deals we've made and the amount of money we've spent. I
don't think you've overpaid on those players. I think you've got them at kind of like the fair going market rates. I think you've done really well, and that's off to obviously your board, And I know that they've obviously taken a lot of criticism, in the past and whatnot. They seem to have done fairly well the last couple of years in what they've done. So it's looking bright. Big game tomorrow though.
Yes, big game tomorrow. Big game.
Yeah.
It's at Anfield. We don't have a great record at Anfield.
You don't, and I've got a couple of stats on that as well.
So. I know. I knew you probably would.
1 win in 14. I think Moyes' personal record stretches into something like 25 to 30 odd games, something like that.
0 wins against top 6 clubs away from home. Yeah, it's a terrible record Moyes has got away from the top 6 clubs. Terrible record.
Looking at the way you're playing, particularly in the attacking phases, and I've been quite lucky time-wise with work and whatnot. I've been able to catch quite a few of the Liverpool games because they had a similar kind of like parallel sort of like season. I know they pushed towards the end and very nearly got back top 4, but I think they're very, very vulnerable at the back. And even if Trent and Virgil's back, I think the movement you have in the forward areas is going to cause them problems. And they have been so vulnerable. And I think, yet again, I'd said this on one of your lives, they are very, very vulnerable in set pieces. And we've seen what you guys do already. I think, obviously, set pieces are going to be massively key to that tomorrow. Yeah.
So I think with the key with Liverpool is obviously they've completely changed their midfield. The Milner went, Fabinho went, Henderson went. Yeah. So that they lost their whole midfield.
And Thiago's out as well.
Yeah, and the players they've got in, brilliant young players. I think McAllister, Soski or Losk, I can't say his name properly.
Dominic Szoboszlai.
Szoboszlai, that's it.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant signing as well. So yeah, their midfield is
the Japanese fella as well. Endo, good player, established player, a bit different, bringing that bit of experience, but struggled in his first game. McAllister seems to have struggled. Kind of, he's being asked to play that sort of deep role, and I think if he plays, I think if he plays tomorrow, I think he's going to get swamped, and I see him yet again in a red card potential as well.
Yeah, so I mean, the main threat for Liverpool obviously is their front line, and they have so many options out there with
Diaz from the bench as well.
Yeah, so I mean, they could play Diaz or Jota and Nunes, Gakpo.
I'm kind of expecting him to probably start Nunes tomorrow, because the last two games, obviously, with the international break and stuff like that, they've come from the bench. I'm expecting him to start Nunes tomorrow, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think he'll start Nunes as well, and I think the main reason they'll probably start Nunes is because of his height and
that pace
defending corner, and also being able to defend corners as well. He's
on that front post.
Yeah. He's very good on his head, so yeah, he could be useful at the back as well. But no, his pace and his ability just to kind of like create something out of nothing is quite scary. So yeah, there's obviously a lot of threat going forward, and I think West Ham are going to deploy a very similar system to what we did against Man City and Chelsea and Brighton, whereas we're going to sit back, we're going to try and frustrate them, we're trying to break up the play in the midfield, and then try and get one on the break in the first half, and then hopefully the game opens up a little bit more in the second half, and we take advantage of that. I think that's going to be the hope for tomorrow's game. But yeah, it's going to be it'd be a good one. I've got more hope of.
Yeah, I'm going to miss most of it. I think. I think I finish work tomorrow at like about 3:30, so I might be able to get home for a bit of it.
Sure. I think it's 2, so
yeah,
probably finish about then.
Yeah, I might be able to get home for like the last 15 minutes. So I drive a bus, so I've not even got any chance of sneaking it on.
No, you'll be back for Brian's last minute winner.
Well, I mean, looking on that, obviously, so you've got a couple of potential doubts, which is obviously Bowen and Cresswell.
Yeah. So Cresswell's not too much of a worry, because I think we'll be starting with Emerson at left back anyway.
Yeah.
Bowen, as far as I know, he had an illness. He's going to have a late fitness. Yeah, a bit of bug.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to have a late fitness test, but I think the general feeling is he's going to be fit to play.
Yeah, Alvarez obviously will be available again after the European game, so you're having back.
Yeah, so we should have a pretty much full strength squad. I think I don't know what we're going to do at the back. I think Mavropanos, the other good new signing that we made, he had a
20 odd million. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a solid debut during the week, and we've had a Gued at the back who's been a little bit questionable. So I don't know. I think David Moyes hinted that he may change that at the back, so we may see that change.
He reminds me of Romero at Spurs a little bit.
He's got so much pace, and he's one of the best tacklers of the ball. Like he puts in some absolutely fantastic, but he is prone to making those odd errors of judgment where and we've seen that a few times. We saw it in the Man City game. He should have cleared their second goal. He should have communicated better with the keeper, or headed or cleared the ball, and he didn't. And so I think he was at fault for that goal. So yeah, there is a possibility that he could be dropped. But David Moyes, you never really know.
No, he could play none of them.
Well, yeah.
Everyone, you just don't know.
He has his favourites, and he likes to give players the benefit of the doubt, I feel, sometimes, and it can work against us occasionally, I feel.
Now, bearing in mind, we are live, obviously, on the YouTube.
Yes.
Forgot where we was. I nearly said TikTok then for a minute.
Yeah.
So we have had a question from a good friend of mine. He's a Derby County fan. I'm actually going up to next month. I'm going up to Derby for the Derby Northampton game. So he wants to have your prediction on where you're going to finish this season. So yeah, your hopes for the season.
If you told me at the beginning of the season, I was hoping for like a mid-table, probably around 10th, 11th finish. But seeing our start of the season and knowing that we will try and play very much like this for the majority of the season, I'm hoping for at least a top 8 finish. I think that's very possible for West Ham this season. I get laughed at when I say that, like given all the other teams around, but I genuinely think that West Ham are going to be a very much a surprise team this year, and a top 8 I don't think is beyond the realms of possibility at all for us this season.
I would think a European placing, looking at where you're going, could add 1 or 2 in January. I think a European Football League next year, I think, is achievable.
Yeah, no, I definitely do as well. We obviously have to see how the season plays out, but yeah, under Moyes, I mean, over the 3 seasons, we've had 2 very solid ones where we finished very high, and then obviously last season, which was just very strange altogether. But yeah, I honestly do believe that we're going to finish in top 8. I mean, we won't be a 5 top 8, definitely not.
No.
But,
and of course, there's a route into the Champions League available.
Yeah, I think 5th is more than definitely going to get it this season.
Winning the Europa League.
Well, yeah, we have got that as well.
Yeah.
And this could be a good test for the final. You never know tomorrow's game.
Yeah, I think teams, particularly in Europa League, are definitely having that Champions League qualification place up for grabs. And definitely taking it more seriously, mate. So I think it is a good shout. So
yeah, I think it's definitely. I think there's a lot more competition in the Europa League this year. Looking at the Europa League and Champions League, I actually feel like there's a lot more harder teams to play, in general in the Europa League than there is in the Champions League this year.
There's been some, like, across the European leagues, there's definitely been a couple of like these weird, you get these weird seasons where you'll get 1 or 2 big teams just, don't get into the Champions League, don't get in the top 4. You'll get surprise teams in those leagues. We've seen it in Italy and a couple of times in Germany and then where the bigger teams do fall out of that top 4 picture and then end up in the conference leagues and
or not in Europe altogether. Like Chelsea or Tottenham, like
my Italian club behind me, can't stop their dodgy dealing, just get kicked out of everything.
Oh no, it's terrible, isn't it? Pogba as well, like he's been banned now for something that's like open or something, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's had a regular test result, performance enhancing, and they're talking about potentially a 4-year ban.
That ended his career then, won't it? Basically.
I mean, over the last 18 months or so, he's not really had a career anyway.
Well, that's
I just think that's, obviously, I just think that's a massive waste of talent. And, for what we've seen that guy do in spells, and in moments, we've seen it with France in the World Cup, and I just don't, it frustrates me with players. It really does. Being someone as a youngster who try to be a player and whatnot, and you get to see these guys with talent like this just absolutely waste it.
Yeah.
That really frustrates me.
There's been a few players over the years that have done that. Eden Hazard as well with Real Madrid, just completely,
I know.
What happened to him. He was just
left Chelsea. It's like someone had flicked the switch off in his back or something, and just gone.
I think sometimes it's the moves that they make. Obviously, Pogba's move to Man United kind of just didn't do his whole career very well.
I think it was the wrong club, wrong time. Or maybe right club, wrong time. I don't know, but a bit like when Ronaldo went back and all that. It's just going back to a club that's not in that same picture as when you left it.
Yeah, definitely.
So if I could get like a wish list off of you, so a signing, say, for each, other than goalkeeper, or maybe you need another goalkeeper, I don't know. But Areola's pulling off worldies at the moment, so
he is. Yeah. I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy with quite a few positions. Obviously, goalkeeper, we've got Areola, who's been brilliant so far. Fabianski is still a brilliant keeper as well for this season. So yeah, quite happy back there.
Yeah,
but
probably a right back. Kufau's getting on a bit. Johnson's played there, isn't he, as well? And
so we've actually got a fair amount of options at right back. We've got Sofel, who plays there at the moment. Obviously, Johnson is the backup. Apparently, his contract ends at the end of the season, so it doesn't look like he's going to be with us beyond that. We've also got Kira and Mavropanos, who can both play right back as well.
Yeah, both play centre, both play right back. Yeah, so there is options.
Yeah, so we definitely have options. But yeah, I think it was a position I think we needed strengthening. And I think we did kind of do that by bringing in Mavropanos, who is an option that can play there as well. Yeah. But yeah, I think we need pace up the right. That's the problem with Sofel. He's a great defender, and he's a proper defender. You know, he's not afraid to put in the challenges.
He's got the touch of the Zaballetas about him.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. But yeah, he just lacks that little bit of pace, and I feel like we need a little bit more pace there. Max Aarons, I think, went to Bournemouth. I think he did.
He did, yeah. Again, a player that I was a bit surprised that other clubs didn't have a look at.
Yeah, that was someone that I thought might be able to do a job for us back there. But obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to try and think of players to come in on the spot. Yeah, but no, I mean, right back is a position that we did kind of want to strengthen. Left back as well. There was a Juventus player that we were linked with. I think it was a left wing back as well. I can't remember his name.
Kostic.
That's the one. Kostic.
Philip Kostic. Yeah. I didn't want to lose him. Good player, in my opinion. Very good player.
Yeah. So we were linked with him, and I thought that would be a good signing. But obviously, I think
it got pretty close on transfer deadline day, but I just didn't really run out of time. I think.
Yeah, it felt like Juventus were just chucking players out this summer.
Well, and the thing is, after being booted out of Europe and not having Champions League football, I mean, the revenue side of things in Italy is really bad.
Yeah,
really, really bad. And of course, with all the boardroom trouble and all that, the whole board had to resign at Juve. Otherwise, they probably would have been kicked back down to Serie C again.
Yeah,
that's what it was looking like. Literally, the whole board completely resigning stopped them getting kicked out of there. Financially, the club's a mess. New stadium.
There's a few Italian clubs in that kind of stamp state. There's a few over Europe as well, but yeah, Italian clubs. I think
they're just really bad with money.
They are
really bad with money.
But it's funny when you see all these big teams, these big names all over Europe, like Juventus. I think Seville as well, like having real financial problems at the moment.
And their owners, correct me if I'm wrong, they're buying a club over here. I can't remember who is it. It's escaped my mind. I know that I've seen it all over on like social media, and that I can't remember the name of the club. Everton.
Oh, the seven. Yeah. Did they own Seville?
So they own about 7 or 8 clubs, and all of them are having problems, and now they want to invest into Everton.
Yeah, because I think they were linked with buying West Ham at one point, and we weren't very keen though because we knew that they run a lot of clubs and they weren't running them particularly well.
No.
So that was I don't think that's a great deal for Everton at the moment. I really don't, that one.
No.
But yeah.
That wouldn't work well at all.
No, it wouldn't.
And of course, everyone wants a number 9. But yeah, again, putting you on the spot. I mean, there's not many out there.
No, the trouble is with our number 9s is it needs to be someone who can kind of play in the system that David Moyes plays in. So Antonio is very robust. He can hold up the ball. He can run the channels, and he plays that role absolutely perfectly. And he's trying to find someone who can play a very similar, play that similar role. There was a player we were linked with in Brazil, Yuri Alberto, Corinthians, and I watched a few. It's very hard when you don't see him play in real time. But I watched it, and he did have a lot of attributes that Antonio did. He wasn't the most prolific goal scorer, but he was that kind of player. So I thought he may be a good time. But I think we were also linked with El Nesle from Seville, which is a player that I really like.
He's a really good player.
And someone else who I think would kind of suit our system a little bit as well.
He's got that physical as well. He's great in the air. He's got pace. He can, he's a really good finisher. He's calm on the ball. Maybe Nicholas Jackson needs to watch a few of his videos. But
he's a good striker. He's a good striker.
He's just not getting the service. But yeah, Al Nassiri, I like him. Just that calmness in front of goal. And when you see a striker that has that calmness, and it just looks like they've got forever just to pick a spot, you think, Yeah, we got one here. But yeah, but they don't come cheap, and they don't come
No,
around very often.
No, and it's. I mean, you see it so many times. How many strikers have come into the Premier League and they just don't. They don't adjust. You know, especially it's foreign players altogether. It's just a very unique league, so it's always a risk trying to bring these players in. Yeah, and I think we'll see. I think we'll see it this season as well, where there'll be some players that just
doesn't work. I mean, we're having obviously, we mentioned Jackson there for Chelsea. Mudryk on, another attacking player that's really struggling with it. I think if they're, particularly when they're young, you've got to give them time. And
there is definitely a good player in Mudryk. There is definitely a good player there. He's not. I was puzzled. I was puzzled by the transfer fee on that one. I really was, though.
For me, it smells a little bit of an aftermath signing on the back of like the whole Roman Abramovich area. Particularly because he's Ukrainian, we gave a lot of money to his club to sign him, and it's like almost like, we're really sorry for the war. Have 90 million. It's not our fault, but have 90 million for a player that
don't they get to pay it off over like 8 years though, because they're doing like 8-year contracts.
Yeah, do you know what? And we can talk a little. We'll do a little. Before we finish up, we'll do a little bit on FFP because I'll get your thoughts on it, because it's a bizarre thing. So there's a really, really, really good clip. You'll find it on TalkSport of Simon Jordan explaining FFP and how particularly Chelsea are getting away with it.
Yeah.
So when you sell a player, even though you don't get all that money up front, that book price goes into your FFP balance sheet. So, i.e., you sell Declan Rice for
105.
Yeah. So you'll get that maybe, I don't know what the payment structure is, how much Arsenal have paid up front, but no clubs ever get, never. No. Even Man City don't pay all the money up front for a signing or whatever. So you get it in your stages, but on your balance sheet for FFP, that 130 million goes straight off of into your net spend and off, so your books are literally balanced for the next 3 years now because of that.
Yeah.
It's insane. So, so I know in European football, it's now been capped at 5 years. And I know as it stands with the Premier League rules, there is no cap on how many years on the contract you can say. But I know that they want to now, but obviously they have to do it as a vote with all 20 Premier League clubs, blah, blah, blah. And I know they want to cap it at the 5 years because they don't like what Todd's doing.
No, because basically the length of the contract, they can pay off the payment over the length of their contract. Yeah. So if they give them an 8-year contract, they can pay it off over 8 years. So they split the payments. So the money coming in is one big lump, but the money going out is littles.
Yeah. So we've spent like £1 billion, and yet our net transfer spend, because of the length of these contracts, is only going to be like 100 odd million a year. And then when you take that into consideration, we've saved on all the players we let go, the Mendy's, Havertz, cheers Arsenal, by the way. When you
65 million, 65 million. I don't understand.
We paid 71 and we hadn't even finished paying him off. So to make, well, it's not even really a loss. We kind of like, more or less break even with it, with the add-ons and all that as well. Bizarre. But with all that, all those players that have gone out, the ones particularly like getting those wages, now all the players we've brought in, because we've gone with this policy of buying young, that might well be to the detriment of results. But in terms of the business model, they're all young, so they're all going to have all got these high contracts. They're on nowhere near, even though they're high profile signings, they're on nowhere near the money that the players that we've let go are on stuff else. Like Mudryk's on it's like 80 to 90 grand a week or something stupid like that. I know there's a lot of bonus stuff that flies into it. And I do think it's a model that a lot of clubs are going to start to copy, because if it's within the rules, it makes sense.
FFP
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think something like FFP is kind of important, because you there are some that can come and you can have Like
Yeah.
Newcastle, for example, they like the amount of money that they have. I think actually what Newcastle are doing is, I agree with it. It's that I like the way they're doing it. They're taking their time. They're buying in the right players. They're not just buying willy nilly. Like Chelsea did when Abramovich come in, like Man City did when they come in. They just splash the cash, and I think it does allow for it to be a little bit more fair. I just think that
I think it needs to be regulated properly. The thing is that FIFA and UEFA can't organise anything. The Premier League haven't really quite got it right either, and it's at a complete detriment to smaller clubs. I know it's the idea of it was to be brought in to make it more of a level playing field for smaller clubs, but all you're doing is restricting a smaller club that's already on a small budget.
Yeah,
so it just doesn't work.
That is completely valid, because I think it was born because I think it was Leeds actually who like came in, spend loads of money, and then suddenly they were in the absolute shit, and then just dropped down because they were spending loads of money, and it was to try and help teams not overspend.
Yeah.
But what it's done is restrict clubs from going beyond their means, and I think it's
the richer clubs just stay rich.
And even though the Premier League table at the moment, and the Premier League table last year doesn't show a clear split between like the top clubs and everyone underneath. There is obviously still a massive gap in revenue and in the amount of money that they can spend, because what's funny, you've got the two biggest spenders at the moment, which are Man U and Chelsea, sitting in right in the middle, and
13th. I think they've probably bounced up to maybe, I don't know, 7th or 8th with that win today, but
yeah. So
I think I think that the problem. I mean, again, before I know we've gone a little bit off subject with West Ham, but hey, it's football, isn't it? And I know you talk a lot about all aspects of football on your lives. So the Saudi, I mean, I've touched on this in one of my episodes before, and my thoughts was like the potential problems that the Saudi League causes, and the knock-on effects for that. Yet again, I think next year they will go raiding into Europe, obviously Premier League included, and they will just keep, because they've got this, they don't have restrictions.
Yeah, so this is something else that I find really a real problem, because you can have someone like the Saudi teams who don't have restrictions on them to do what they want to do, and it's something that FIFA, I think, really need to kind of come in right now and say, no, you can't just be spending this amount of money, because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I think I know Al Nazir have been told that they've been put on a FIFA a transfer ban at the moment, because whether it's not because obviously they haven't got the money, it's just that they seem to have forgotten to pay certain clubs how much they owe. So I think they're the only club at the moment that's actually FIFA has stamped on and said, hang on a minute, no, you're not doing any more deals until you pay off all these other people that you owe. But it's frightening that what they're capable of, and I think long term, particularly our Premier League clubs, most of our income comes from the TV money, and that income comes because it's a league that everyone wants to watch, because generally we have the better players overall in the Premier League.
Yes.
So you'll get superstars in other leagues, but generally, as a golden rule, most all 20 Premier League teams have really good players.
Yeah.
And it's entertaining the world. Now, if you start,
I think it's already established as well with the Premier League, and it's already watched worldwide, and you have it's forever updating. And my problem with the Saudi League is like, every single time a player goes over to the Saudi League, I'm trying to build the profile. No, you're not. No, you're not. Stop lying to yourself. Like Jordan Henderson the other week, it was like, oh my God, like seriously, just be honest with yourself, mate. We know why you're over there. You've got offered a shitload of money. It's never.
If you really cared about human rights and you really cared about lesbian and gay issues, that you would not be playing there. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
So be honest, all you're doing is say, listen, I know it's got its problems, blah, 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 I'm securing the financial for my future, for my family, for many, many moons to come. So, yeah, I know you don't like it, but it's what it is.
But the thing is, though, when it comes to the biggest leagues in the world, they are the biggest leagues in the world because they have homegrown players that are known throughout the world.
Yeah.
Saudi will never have that because their players are just not of that quality. Not that they will never have any of those players. Of course they will, they will get, and it might, in 10, 20 years, 10, 20 their players may get better.
Yeah. I think you're just starting to see that with like the MLS now. So you are starting to see a lot of, young American players that are doing quite well and then getting their moves out of the MLS.
Yeah.
Because, Tyler Adams and, there's Aronson. Yeah. I know that it didn't go brilliantly well at Leeds with them, but they'd already established themselves in Europe as well. But that's taken 20, 25 years to get to a position where the young players have got to a level.
Exactly. So what it kind of feels like the Saudi Arabians are trying to do at the moment is trying to fast track it just by trying to get in all these big names. The problem is that because everyone's see. No, one, it's not sustainable, and two, I think everyone knows why these players are going out there. So it's not about the football; it's about the money, and we want to watch players that are about the football.
Just like care.
Yeah, and I just can't ever see it taking off. I just can't. But it is still a massive worry because of the amount of money they get. But I look at it from this point of view. At the end of the day, if you've got a player that has been persuaded to go over there because of all that money, is that player you really wanted at your team that could be so easily swayed by money?
Mason Mount.
No comment. That for me was the most peculiar transfer of the whole window.
It's a player that we need, a style of player we still need, despite his critics, and there was quite a few. Chelsea, it's a fair split. I was pro Mason Mount, but no player's bigger than the club. No. And I looked at it and I thought, it's not what they need. It's not what they need. They've addressed what they need now, bringing in Højlund, and they probably need another 2 centre halves, but
just
60 odd million on a player you don't need, and then you play him deep and sit him alongside Casemiro. And you wonder why he struggles for form and confidence. I don't get it.
Nice.
He's an attacking midfielder that can play across the front line, or he can sit in a 10. That's what he is. That's what he does.
It was just a peculiar one to me. It really was a peculiar one. I don't know why he ended up going there, but he did. I'm guessing it had to be for the money, really.
Well, I mean, we offered him close to 200 odd grand a week, and apparently that weren't enough. And it weren't enough. So, and he had a bit of a half-hearted goodbye message and all that, video and all that, and it wasn't authentic. It weren't genuine. Apparently, his dad was a massive Man U fan as well in the past or whatever. So that's how they've tried to sell it to the Man U fans, that this is like, I'm coming home to, because this is my dad's club. Don't buy it, just be on it. Yeah, again, it's about.
It's amazing the influence dads have on football, they see.
Yeah.
I know another player that was influenced by their dad's decision. One of Mason Mount's best mates, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a recognised moving on.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered most stuff that I had written down to ask you and all that. I think it looks like the YouTubers, everyone's gone to bed on there. So
that's fair enough. Yeah, we did kind of go off topic a little bit, didn't we?
Now, I found you because I was sat there in bed scrolling through my TikTok and you popped up on my live. And I was like, all right, let's see what this fella's all about. And I enjoyed it. And I sat in there and obviously watched it. So we're going to tell everyone what your TikTok live name is.
Yes.
So, yeah. Because in fact, I'm going to get it up on the screen. So, and I'll read it out as well. So then obviously people can come and find you. because he's growing and he's growing fast, people. So get on it while get in there early as like a founding watcher for him. All right. So obviously the camera's not mirrored because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, West Ham fan 86.
There we go. So at West Ham fan 86 on TikTok, and you go live most nights.
Yeah, I try to go live a few nights a week. Yeah.
Talking obviously West Ham, but obviously many aspects. Whatever comes up in the chat, I know you're happy to answer it all.
I love a good bit of football banner as well. I get a lot of that, which is great.
I've seen some of it. Yeah, it gets quite lively.
It can do. I had a lively one last night with some Man United fans. That was fun. The easiest ones to come back to.
Nothing really quite stirs the emotions of grown men, particularly and young men, particularly like football. That's for sure.
No,
I mean, I'm a massive like Talk Sport fan. I listen to them most mornings, and I just love listening to the phone calls. There's something I'd love to be able to somehow introduce. Is like when we're doing live shows like this, is to try and somehow integrate people like being able to like drop in and out, like come on and have a rant, and I'm not sure if I'll probably get banned, but yeah, that's where we find Alex on there on the TikTok. So make sure you drop him a follow. Because it'd be great to see you getting up into that like 10K region as well. Because I tend to see whenever people hit that sort of like 10K, it's like whoosh and goes.
Yeah, I mean that'd be amazing. I mean, I'd say when I started this a few months ago, it was just a little bit of fun. To be honest with you, I just wanted to talk about West Ham and my passion about it, and the way it's kind of taken off, and it's it's actually to a point now where I'm thinking I'm actually really enjoying this. And
I tell you what, and because I've got a couple of mates, they're well worth a follow as well, which is on TikTok, Two Blues, and they do a Chelsea podcast on YouTube, and a pal of mine that I met through a Chelsea forum, Keith Lawrence, who does like the biggest Chelsea podcast called the Blue Day Podcast. Really good show, well worth a listen. But mate, honestly, with what you do on your lives, 100% you should be looking at like doing it as a podcast, even if it's just starting it out with YouTube.
I mean, I have been. Well, actually, more recently, for some reason I kind of lost my 10-minute feature on TikTok, and not that my videos ever go to 10 minutes, but they do go over 3 minutes. So it's actually got me thinking this week. So, well, if I can't get that back, I'm going to start doing I'll do a shorter video on TikTok and say, if you want to see more, go, and I'll make the longer videos for YouTube and start making YouTube videos.
And you can already have a little bit of a shortcut to all your startup content, because obviously when you do your TikTok live and you go back in your live center, your replays are there.
Yes.
So all you got to do is download that onto your phone, and you can whack them straight up onto the YouTube. And you've already got all your live episodes ready to go.
I don't know if the comments come up though. Do the comments come up?
No, all the video just comes up nice and clear and plain.
Yeah, I know. So I'm just talking randomly to unknown questions. That's why I try. I think I know about that because I always try and repeat the question that I'm being asked.
Yeah, which that's handy. It works that way. Yeah. Right, brilliant, mate. Listen, you're always more than welcome to come on here again. I mean, normally what I like doing, particularly obviously I've done it with my mate Paul, is that we let a few weeks go by, look at results and see where we are and what's happened with your team and that. And generally, because it's football, there's always going to be something to talk about. And also, it doesn't have to be West Ham. You're more than welcome to come on and talk anything football. So
I'm quite happy to. Yeah, no, it's been great. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So
it's been brilliant.
I'll be more than
I know you said you were like, this is your first ever pod. Yes. And this is the first time of me having someone else on the pod who isn't like a direct mate or something that I've, so this is a first for me as well.
Oh, right. Brilliant. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Hopefully tomorrow, I've got 2 lined up for tomorrow. So it's like a hat trick of pods. So I've got a women's Scottish football team, Dalbeatty Star Ladies FC, hopefully coming on at 7 p.m. tomorrow. And then before that, I've got a guy, similar kind of thing with you, his content popped up. He's a Chelsea fan called Dean, and he's going to, hopefully, if it works out, he's going to come on at 6 o'clock tomorrow. And it'll be live on that. So it's good.
Okay, well, I've subscribed to your channel.
I saw that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I'll keep an eye out. I'm not fantastic on YouTube. I'll be honest with you. I get stuck on TikTok way too often.
I know. You start on TikTok, and the next thing you know, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I know that. I'm up to about 2 in the morning anyway most days. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if a little bit later I just go, I'm bored. I'm just going to go on live, see what's happening.
That's just it. Yeah, I need to do that more, to be honest. Like, because obviously I've got the Talk Football TikTok up to like 1,400 followers and that now. So I need to really start doing more lives on there. When I do pods on my own, I go live on TikTok at the same time, because I use that video for the YouTube as well as recording the audio direct on my PC. So I really need to start doing more lives and like interacting with like you do, interacting with the people on there and doing it.
Yeah, I just find that it was something I was really nervous to do, but it's good because you do get to talk to people, and your followers come on and ask you questions. I end up answering the same question about 17 times or like that. But it's still great to have a chat with the people who follow you and get to know them a little bit more as well.
Yeah, it's good. I know there is a lot of young ones, and you've got to be careful with the comments and all that. But I think it's brilliant, like interacting with people, and you never know. You're making new friends, and
nice.
It's like my mate, like I was saying, my mate Adam, who commented earlier. He lives in Derby, so and we met actually through gaming, because I'm a game streamer as well, and we met like on Call of Duty, and he's ended up like being one of my best mates now. And every year, like once or twice a year, I go up and have a week in Derby, and we go and watch games and all that. So it's mad, like the internet can just open up all these avenues and worlds that you can end up.
Well, it's such a small world as well. I think I posted one video of me at the kind of parade, and I've had 2 different TikTokers come up to me and say, I'm in that video, there I am. And one of them was just standing right behind me for literally about 20 minutes. It's such a small world. But you get to know new people, which is great.
I love it. It's good. I'm glad I really, because I did contemplate stopping doing this. And then a lot of the people, like in the Facebook group and on the Instagram and all that, like, no, you got to keep going. Like, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's been 9 months. So, I'm like, oh, I don't know. And they're like, no, listen, just do it. You come back, do one, see how you feel. And of course, now I've done this is number 7 of this 4th season. So yeah,
no, it's great. I mean, I haven't watched a huge amount, but I have watched a few episodes, and they're good and interesting.
Well, that was the evolution for this. Now was always, the idea was always to like go down this video road and all that as well. So I've only really this 4th season where it's all been, a lot of it's been video. There's a few of the episodes where there's no video because my PC decided it didn't want to play ball with the video. But yeah, obviously doing it this way as a live, the video is automatically there, and 2 clicks and it's on the playlist for this current season. So that's good. And actually the YouTube views are now starting to push up in terms of their levels to a point. I mean, obviously with the Spotify, Amazon Music, and about 50 other different whatever apps and websites that it goes out to on the audio. I mean, they've always been doing really well. But I think obviously doing it this way, where they can see us talking, it really gives it a bit more. It makes it a bit more personable, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, that's what I enjoy anyway. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling.
That's all right.
So again, thank you to Alex for coming on and talking West Ham and many other aspects of football. Hopefully we'll get Alex to come back on again if I haven't frightened him off too much.
No, it's been great. Honestly, it has been brilliant, and I'd love to come back on. So it was great. Awesome. It's great chatting, and I love talking about football and West Ham. I'm on it. So thank you for having me. Appreciate
no worries, mate. Anytime. So if you want to get in contact with the show, obviously always the link to the link tree is in the bio. And you can access all aspects of the website. You can get all the audio options if you prefer listening in audio. You don't want to see my fat face, and So you can get all that on there, as well as all the social media. So you can come on and interact with the Facebook, the Insta, subbing and subscribing and clicking the little bell here on YouTube. I know everyone likes to say that, and oh, tap that, do this, click that. If you want to, do it. If you don't, tie up you. No one's forcing you. And you can do the old-fashioned way. You can email the show on on talkfootballpdc@gmail.com. I know that's a bit old-fashioned. It's like writing a letter in pen.
No, whoever thought email would be called old-fashioned?
I know how times move. That is season 4, episode 7 of the Talk Football podcast with me, your host, Dodgy, Alex, the West Ham fan, and Alex. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you very much.
And thank you to everyone for listening and watching and supporting us on the show. And we'll see you hopefully with 2 more episodes coming up tomorrow. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.